was a referral in there. I wasn't too involved to me, so all I was supporting was the idea we ought to discuss it.
Okay.
But if there was sewer, if there was floodplain issues, I've since been told that they really weren't. I don't know what your feeling is now.
I've just looked on the county maps, and it is in the flood zone. It's at the edge of the flood zone. It is still in the flood zone as projected.
My concern is just frankly what I'm hearing out in the community, that with the traffic, and the bottleneck with the Midway Road and everything else, that there aren't that many think this is a good place for that to be. I guess, you know, I don't know if we care as a city. They get to do what they want, but to the extent we're accommodating it, trading the property, all this kind of stuff. I drove out, I don't know who it is, it didn't seem to me to be school type stuff, but on that property, that's the entrance to our city, that looks like a pig pen.
Oh, like the airport.
Well, next to the airport, is that all being dumped? It looked to me like the city's putting stuff there too, to me.
No, that is a staging area of the school district. That is part of the swap that we're talking about.
What have they got, the piles of old tires and tire rims and big pieces of cement and...
Remember, that's their bus yard, so they manage buses and they manage a lot of their building maintenance there.
So everything they've cleaned off for 20 years is just there.
But if you look at the Navy property, we have the same issue there. We have our old trucks and materials and supplies. And hopefully as part of the swap, we can get something cleaned up.
Well, we can clean ours up without the swamp. It ought to happen
Right.
anyway.
And it's going to, ask staff to have that cleaned up by September 1.
I noticed a lot of our equipment is off of there now, our big trucks and
We're in the
stuff.
transition.
Anyway, I drove around out there. I had to take my wife out to a meeting. She's handicapped for 6 to 8 weeks with a broken ankles. I'm her chauffeur now.
Well, my concerns are, and we
But I drove around out there, and it's just a pathetic mess. I wouldn't even want to talk to him unless that was cleaned up.
my concerns are, we can't stop the school board from doing what we do. We can't stop what the voters are going to do on November bond. But if and when, if there is a high school built in the flood zone, then how can we work with the school district? And Chief, you might need to give your expertise on this, or zoning. How do we alleviate concerns on flood zone evacuations? Right? How do we help build connectivity? How do we get some expertise for flood zone evacuations or flood zone building standards? I don't know. Because why I'm asking for this right now is that those potential annexations to the north, right at River Road, they're also in the flood zone. And yet, developers are talking now about putting tremendously high density around the River Road intersection. Hasn't happened. County has vested it right to the southwest of the River Road intersection. Yeah, that's a good idea, Tony. Pull up the, actually it's dam failure. If you'll just click the dam failure one, that's the map. So it takes a bit of time for it to load up. There you go. So if you want to show where Southfield Park is, and there you go, and the blue line, everything in that blue dotted area is flood zone, and that's right where they want to build. So I can't stop them from building. That's up to the voters, that's up to the school board, but we as a city still should be very concerned about safety and evacuations and help, trying to encourage the school district any way we can to plan for safety as much as possible. I wish they would not build in the flood zone. That's just a risk I'm not willing to take. I think that excavating land outside of the flood zone is a lot better deal, a lot safer, and we don't have to worry about these things. But sooner or later, given the pending annexations, our city might have to worry about flood zone protections, evacuations, the traffic needs, any kind of safety or building standards that is needed when it's that close to a flood zone and to a dam, right? I can't control earthquakes. So
What about what the county does in it? I'm surprised to
the
see.
county can't stop the school board either.
No, I'm talking about us, them getting approvals from us for all what they're doing out there in the flood zone.
What do you mean on that?
Well, all this stuff, their development in that same dotted area, the county development Isn't that where they're?
I don't know how we control it.
Are these, so I remember seeing one map that had like the 100-year flood zone, so is
That's
this
the
just,
other things on the top.
okay, so this is just the general flood zone, right? This is
Well,
the
that's a dam failure.
Oh, this is the down failure.
That's Jordanelle Dam.
The dam failure,
The floodway.
yeah, they're way different. The
That's
dam
right.
failure information was developed, you know, I've not read the study, but I've been told that it was developed when the dam was being built or designed, and it was, it's a simulation of what could happen, and they make certain assumptions like the dam fails in a certain way.
Total
and-
failure, I'm sure.
It's kind of a slow failure. I mean, if there was a total failure, it would be much worse than this. And
It's worse than this?
if you just took the dam out, it would be much worse than this. What I was told is this was representative of a slow failure, like,
So it's even more worst case scenario.
So, but again, it's just a simulation. This isn't anything that requires, you know, FEMA doesn't require,
I understand.
you know, special studies or construction. When we built the police department, most of the town is actually located in the 500-year flood zone. And one of the things that we had to do that cost a significant amount of money, that required some concessions to figure out how to keep it under budget, is we asked the consultant to bring the floor level up a foot because it was a critical facility and we wanted to make sure that it could stay open. And you know, I don't know if there's a way maybe they can look at that. Today, somebody was mentioning the flood. Was that a new map that was talking about the flood zone and how the elevation of that flood water? Maybe that was somebody else.
Yeah, I spoke with a member of the school district, and they did some studies with the engineers, and their analysis is if it's a slow break, that the water results through this area, and it gets about 50 feet. And they feel like 50 feet,
50.
50, but they feel like, however, they feel like there's such a concave valley that that would not reach the site of the school. That the school is actually outside of the area that would be inundated, that is that 50 feet mark.
So we get in here just a little bit.
What they said to me was it would not have any impact.
It sounds to me like you've either done a new study, a new model, than this, right? It's been up there for decades. And I'd like to see that model. I'd like to see that study. 50 feet is huge. And again, the school district's only proposing to use Midway Lane, and then, what is it, 600 West? 500, 600 West, two entrances on 600 West, which still goes back to Midway Lane if there's a flood, because then, you know what I mean, you're trying to get east. And you're obviously going to have to go through residential areas, but you don't have a lot of time to get through those residential areas. Just not a lot of evacuation safety. And again, how does anybody in a rational mind think, oh, the dam's only going to break in a slope, or oh, it's only going to break, you know, a tenth, or it's only going to break half. You see what I mean? These projections are just up high in the sky. No one's going to know how an earthquake's going to happen, or how fast or how slow it's going to happen with the dam. And to me, I can't take a risk. If it were my decision, and it's not, but if it were my decision, I would not take the risk to build the most expensive government building in this valley in the flood zone. Just wouldn't do it. So now I'm just saying, how do we talk to the school district? How do we work with the school district? Because our concern is safety. How do we give them best practices, Chief? How do we ask for more roads or more connectivity? I don't know, but I'm worried about this. I'm just exceedingly worried about this. I wouldn't want to work in that building. Okay, I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to go to football games there, because I'd always be worried about that. I mean, I'm an old-timer here, and the number one issue 20, 30 years ago when that dam went in is what's it going to destroy if it breaks? And like I say, when I was living at BYU a long time ago, we used to get evacuation materials. We used to know how high that flood water would be if it came down through Deer Creek. And that wasn't including Jordanelle, okay, it was just Deer Creek alone. That the water level would be 12 feet high where I was living, and that this is where you evacuate. See, you see what I mean, evacuation plans. I mean, we knew that even though we hoped, and look how far away BYU is from Deer Creek. You see what I mean? This is just, right, so close to the dam. How can we help with safety and evacuation or whatever we can do, you know, to mitigate, to help the school board see our concerns perhaps as a city?
I'd like to throw a few things in there. Just, the dam, as of right now, already has a plan, a disaster, I forgot the acronyms for it, but they have a plan, an emergency action plan, I think is what it is, in place currently. We could request that from the state. It's probably available on the
But that's just
Division
for
of Water
the structure
Resources website. No, it's an emergency
for the valley.
plan of what to do in the case of an emergency, how to get that contact information out, who needs to be contacted, what they need to do. Those are things that were, before that dam was ever constructed, those were part of the permitting
But
process.
if that's something we don't have, we got to request, it must not be very available to our first responders.
Well, I believe that we could get it right now.
I'm saying, the fact that we don't have it is a concern to me. The very fact that you're saying that.
Is there anything?
They may have it.
That little one that comes
I'm
in.
confident that the emergency response team in the county or somebody probably has it. There's people that have it. There's
It might be
contact
that yellow
information.
book that the county knows out there.
Now, every single person in the county probably doesn't know what to do or like you're saying, and it's a legitimate concern. You probably ought to bring it up and have the school district address your concern.
I tried to at the interlocal meeting, and I believe their response was that they were working with the Army Corps of Engineers. But, you know, that's where I'm saying it's going to be maybe in our city or it's right next to our city. And of course, us having the police department equivalent to the county, we're going to be called out. What can we do to prepare? What information can we, please continue.
Well, that was just part of it. My point was they do have an emergency action plan, and we probably ought to look into that. But I think you ought to recommend to the school district that, hey, we want some more information on this. Are you looking at it? What's your plan? The other thing you're talking about is traffic. As a city, they're going to come to the city for approvals. We are going to require a traffic impact study. We're going to understand what those impacts are, and they're going to have to put improvements in place to mitigate the impacts that a school would have. There's potential talk of connections at 500 North, 300 North. Are those going to be acceptable to us? We don't know until we get that traffic study. It's good to know that that's a concern, but until we have that data.
So what, my concern is that I was under the impression that they kind of do whatever they want. We really can require things of the school in terms of traffic.
I think we absolutely have the ability to request a traffic impact
So
study to
they
understand how
don't
it's
have to
impacted.
answer to our zoning, but they do have to answer to traffic as well.
Well, I understand that they're already kind of talking to Bart and asking some questions, and we are going to want to see what those are. Based on prior experience, we're probably, as an engineering firm or an engineering department, we're going to ask for certain things that we want to see there. But I don't think they have any intention of just coming in and just doing whatever they want without trying to address the concerns.
I agree, I understand. Traffic is the biggest issue to them as it is to us, right? They're going to have probably 1,100, 1,200 students there. Making sure they get in and out of that parking lot quickly and efficiently is going to be very
Well,
important.
every kid thinks he's driving his own car now. I mean, they do.
Well,
That's
the
all I
point
really
is
wanted
that's
to
for
say.
normal traffic. It's not for flood evacuation traffic.
And that's also true. That's something that we
Let me add to why I guess I opined when I wasn't to the beginning meeting up in California with family being held up. So I didn't get that discussion, but I was concerned enough for Marie's man to say, why in the world won't we put this on the agenda to talk about it? I was involved when the dam was being planned. We had Mr. Hanson showed up at every meeting telling us what a mistake it was to even put it there. It is absolutely sitting on a fault line. It is sitting on a major fault line. And Bureau of Reclamation justified it. They pumped, I don't know how many hundred tons of grout down into those cracks. But the cracks are there. And, you know, we were involved, where I worked with the congressional office on meeting after meeting after meeting. Honestly, I don't think it was ever resolved except for the engineers to say, you know, we're mitigating it adequately. But it is sitting on a fault. And it also is below, I don't know if you understand water, I don't understand it even though I understand it, but the mountain behind it, the water table can go up a mountain. The pressures of a mountain will let it be higher. There's a whole, all of that water from the mines and everything could, in an earthquake, it won't just be the dam water, it'll be the dam mining water that could come down through our valley. So, you know, it's not something to be just dismissed, and that's why I guess I seconded, Heidi's motion to please discuss.
No, I think there's some other things that need to be considered. I remember the county when they were building the dam, and from the, I saw some maps at the time, and basically, if there were a dam break, they talked about the water reaching approximately along 600 West, which includes 2 schools that we already have there, but it's kind of like shoreline. It maybe is a half a foot there and a foot there, and you get over to the river, and that's where it's going to be 30 feet deep. That's if the whole thing breaks. The other consideration, if we have a major earthquake where the dam is, don't think it's not going to affect Heber other than the flood water. I mean, we could have ruined streets, broken water lines, you name it. I mean, in my estimation, maybe that's the least of our problems if we have a major earthquake like that. For the city itself, that's my concern, but maybe it'll happen next year, maybe it'll be 100 years from now. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, the question is whether you put a major asset in that risk, along with the traffic. What happens?
And how deep is it? I mean, if it's going to be a foot deep out there, yeah, it's going to create a lot of damage.
So what's the timing for what your traffic analysis will be? Is that going to be in time for the citizens to know that before the election, if it happens in November, the bond election?
I don't know, but we can find out.
Well, we need to have it
We can ask them.
for the citizens before they weigh in. I mean, we don't have an authoritative role to do anything more than discuss this with the school district. It's their decision, but as a city, if you're telling me we have opportunity to require and discuss and look at traffic flows, I think it's incumbent on us to have that information before the bond election, if there's to be one. Because it won't do any good, after it may not even need to be done. It depends on what the citizens say. But it may have a bearing on what they say.
If I may offer some input on this. So I understand the school district's going to try to get to a referendum on the bond this November. There's obviously a lot of details associated with the new high school, right? A roadway or access to the high school, but one small detail of hundreds they got to get to. Remember Paul Linford earlier this afternoon indicated they didn't want to spend a lot of money until there was some fair amount of certainty for them to justify spending that money. I don't know if the school district would be willing to spend that money now, recognizing that certainty is not great until they get that bond adopted. That's when they would really, I think, start looking at the 1,000 pieces of detail that would be necessary to come together and make sure that project works.
Well, but certainly, if our city engineer says that they're going to need X amount of streets and width and whatever to satisfy the traffic, that's no small part of the cost to build that school. How are they gonna estimate the value without knowing what traffic they need, what roads they need to build for it?
So I think the bigger question is, what's included in their estimated cost, right?
Well, that's part of it.
They should probably have looked at the land costs, the roadway costs, and things of that nature. My point is simply that there's a lot of details, right? And at some point, they'll get to those details. I'm not sure if that detail is important right now.
I was going to make a snarky joke. I don't know if I should or not, but I won't.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I won't. But just splash pads and flood zones. Just something about that. I'm snarky. I'm very sorry. Okay, again, this concern to me ties into pending annexations that also have parts of their developments in flood zones. And so I hope that Tony, with your big long list, and Chief, with your big long list, and Russ, with everything you're doing, I would hope we could find some best practices for building standards, safety, whatever we can do for flood zones, all right? Obviously, those pending annexation areas are even closer to the dam than what this high school might be proposed in, so I just feel like it's a problem that we need to address. We can't just assume that the risk isn't there.
Also, keep bear in mind that this type of project will be required to have safety standards equal to or greater than what the police station has, because it is an institution that will have kids in there. Only am I wrong if I said that the state actually provides the inspections for the project? I don't think the city does in this case.
I think they inspect
Correct.
themselves.
Well, they're going to choose who they do, and typically they utilize the county building department for that.
And so the main point is that the standards that they'll have to meet for this building are going to be significant because it is a high school.
All right, anything else on that?
Is it possible for us to get the plan? I'd like to see that
I'm
emergency
certain
plan.
their engineer, an engineer that's considering working for them on it is trying to put together a scope, and he mentioned that I can ask the question of when they expect to have that report through that.
But no, the other emergency plan that you referred to that was done before the dam
Oh, I see.
built. I would think the chief would want to look at that. Tony, if you could look at it, I'd like to look at it. I just feel like this is an issue we really need to be on top of and not just assume that nothing will ever happen.
Well, at a minimum, we need to suggest they have robust scuba classes.
Mandatory. All right, well, I think that about covers that item. Let's go on to item number